We find ourselves in a bustling beach city nestled against a glittering ocean bay. People from all walks of life flow through the streets, going about their daily lives. Among them, 3 adventurers make their way to the port, far from where they started and ready to hang up their hats. Can they finally settle down here, or will they be unable to leave the adventuring life behind? Only time will tell. Hi folks! Welcome to Follow the Leader, a podcast focused on telling character-driven stories through the use of GM-less tabletop games where we can all take the lead. You can find us on Twitter, for the moment, at FTLcast, at FTLcast.com, and we do have a Tumblr at FTLcast that I'm terrible at maintaining, but you never know, stuff might show up there. We also have a Patreon at patreon.com/FTLcast. Today we're playing Stewpot, Tales from a Fantasy Tavern by Takuma Okada. For those of you who are new to this game, here are the basics. Stewpot, Tales from a Fantasy Tavern is a collection of small games for groups of 3 or more players. Each game lets you, a retired adventurer, play out different parts of running a tavern and settling down in a town together with your old adventuring party. You'll be scrambling to cook something edible with random ingredients, bartending for troubled souls, calming down a tavern brawl, going shopping for all the things a tavern needs, and more in a variety of slice-of-life scenes. I'm August, and you can find me on Twitter at HarpyDora, for now, and Tumblr at StrangeHarpy, and my pronouns are they, them. Playing with me today we have Zachary.
Hello, my name is Zachary Fredrickson. You can find me on Twitter at ObfuscatingGod. You can find the music I make at iambugbear.bandcamp.com. My pronouns are he, him.
And we also have introducing a somewhat new cast member. You've already heard them, but they are officially on the roster here today. Annya.
Hey, my name's Annya. I don't remember my social media handles, but if you really want to find me, you better be sending me K-pop stuff. Otherwise, I don't want to talk. Otherwise, I don't use social media. And my pronouns are they, them.
Our lines, which are things we absolutely do not want to see, are homophobia and transphobia, racism, sexism, anti-Semitism, violence against children and animals, sexual assault, domestic violence or intimate partner violence, unwanted pregnancy, and plagues and pandemics. Our veils, which are things we're fine with addressing but will just fade to black on, are steamy situations, graphic descriptions of bodily harm, and terminal illness. Now that we've got all that, let's get started. And woo. So, as we said before, Stewpot is a game where you play retired adventurers settling down and starting a tavern together. And the first thing that we have to do is we actually have to create our tavern. Your tavern and the area around it is central to the whole game. We'll be working here, of course, but we'll have plenty of time off and exciting events like festivals that will take place here. The first thing that we have to determine is our location. In the book, it describes a couple of different locales that we can choose from, or we can choose our own. But does anybody have any sort of inclination? Do we want to be in a city? Do we want to be in the middle of nowhere, diner on the side of the road near a roadside attraction, that kind of thing?
So whatever we choose will be in some way in conversation with the last time we played Stewpot. So my inclination is to do different things than we did last time. That's just my impulse, because I think we played we were in a little town with a mushroom village or something. So I think a big city would be pretty cool.
Yeah. I was thinking similarly, although I could not recall off the top of my head what we had done last time. But definitely doing something different is good. So I'd be down for the big city.
Yeah, I think that sounds cool.
What kind of big city is it? Are we a mountain city, or are we like a coastal city, or something else entirely? A floating city in the astral void?
That's what my kids picked when we played this at the library.
A floating city in the astral void?
Of course, they're 8.
I think a coastal city could be fun just because then we have the option for pirates as well. Although, I mean, I guess we could get sky pirates in a mountain city.
Mm-hmm.
I am a beach bitch.
Are we thinking beach? Are we thinking like white sand beaches? Or are we thinking like New England coast?
Oh.
I'm not terribly familiar with what the New England coast looks like. Is that like more rocky terrain?
Rocky?
Yeah, like rocky shores, a lot of crustaceans, kind of misty, kind of colder, but still like off the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Maine, and Maryland. I guess there's probably more. Boston is the New England, but
the Cape.
The Cape, yeah. But we could also just be beach days all day. We could have a cabana, some bungalows.
Oh my god.
That could be pretty sick.
If we do that, we have to have mango margaritas.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be down for having a cabana. So for our location, we're going to do a large coastal city with beaches and cabanas. And...
Feeling very Miami.
Yeah. I love fantasy Miami.
Miami.
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing that we have to discuss is the look of our tavern. Like, what interests us most about a building, where our eyes drawn to, just generally what it would look like. I think, we mentioned cabanas.
Mm-hmm.
So
I am seeing one of these examples that just says boat.
Yeah.
That could be fun. A party boat? Party barge?
What?
Boat party.
Boat party. Full circle.
Yep, full circle. I'd be down with a party boat.
I love that.
It doesn't have to be like hard party, but it could, a boat that we like there's like a big bay or a big like a big bay that we could like maybe even sail around to be like moored in different places for different like parts of the city.
Love it.
That sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, because this game knows us and knows that we have a tendency to forget to name things, it explicitly calls out that we need a name. Mm-hmm. I think because we're a party boat, and we're in a coastal city, we need a ridiculous sea themed name.
I was gonna say we could call the boat the Take It Easy.
Ooh.
What, you don't want to be the Jesus Lives, babe?
Oh my god.
That's one of the boats that would be in the harbor every night when we stayed in Tybee. Was Incredible. The Jesus Lives.
Yep.
Incredible.
Yeah, I'm down for the Take It Easy.
Yeah.
And then it says it's a good idea to think of a symbol to go with the name. I think a great symbol, like logo, could be like of somebody in a hammock with like their hat over their face.
Oh.
All right. So taverns have 3 ratings. And those ratings are cuisine, atmosphere, and service. They all start at 1, which is the lowest rating. So cuisine 1 means a cramped kitchen, a small pantry, cheap local wines, a small brick oven. Atmosphere 1 means straw mattresses, narrow chimneys, bare walls. So we're kind of a bare bones boat. We don't have fairy lights or party lanterns yet.
Well, that's obviously a priority.
Yep. And the service rating of 1 means a former farmhand and an injured local guard. And we start off small, kind of shabby, but with hard work and more than a little luck, we hope to become a home away from home for all adventurers passing through. As we play minigames, time passes, and our characters become better at running the tavern and word spreads. After every 3rd game, everyone will take a break to check in, then we'll play a game called Wear and Tear and increase one of our tavern ratings by 1 up to a maximum of 4. You can also choose to play Wear and Tear on your turn to increase a rating by 1, but we should still take a break before playing it. This will reset the need to play Wear and Tear every 3 games. There are other ways to increase tavern rating, but we'll get to those when we get to those. So the next step in preparing to play this game is to create our characters. And the game says your characters are the heart of the tavern. You keep the kitchen running, the fires roaring, the beds made, and the tables clean. We need a few things to make our character: a name, a look, jobs, and experiences. So
I did have one question.
Yes.
Because for the service rating, every time you gain a point in service rating, you create a new NPC employee who represents one of many new hires. We do start with 1 point. Do we start with 1 employee?
I think we do.
Do we want to talk about that after we talk about our characters, or do you want to...
Let's go ahead and talk about our characters, and then we can decide who our employee is.
Cool.
So, I introduced everybody in a different order than we are in the doc, so let's just go in the order we are in the doc. So, Anya, if you don't mind introducing your character, name, look, your adventurer job, and the adventurer skills that you bring to the table.
Yeah. So I'm playing a character that I haven't played since 2020. His name is Atlas Bremer, aka Howl from Howl's Moving Castle. His pronouns are he, him. He's a lanky wizard with shoulder-length straight blonde hair and a youthful face. He wears many rings on multiple fingers and has a wardrobe of fancy cloaks. His weapon is a staff of dark wood worn smooth. His armor is an iridescent cloak of feathers. And his quirk is shoulders that tense at the sound of metal. His adventurer job was a wizard, and the 3, big touchstones I took for him were prestidigitation for small wonders, magic missile, projectiles of astounding accuracy, and arcana, vast knowledge of the magical and unusual. And his town job is going to be a scholar.
Awesome. And I will be bringing back everybody's favorite pink-haired cat boy, Precious Starling. He's a short, slender cat boy with pastel pink hair, blue eyes, and dun-colored fur. I haven't decided exactly how cat boy he is in this universe. I don't know if it's anime cat boy or if it's tabaxi, but we'll figure that out. His weapon is a dirk with a curious carved hilt. His armor is a well-kept traveling cloak, and his quirk is a gleaming smile. His adventurer job was being a rogue, and his rogue skills are Cat's Grace, which is extraordinary agility, nimble fingers, no lock stays locked, no trap can catch you, and Lightfoot, act undetected, and his town job is a poet. He is hoping to be a poet in his new life.
So a scholar and a poet.
We're going to have a great restaurant.
Yeah, a scholar and a poet walk into a bar.
And open it.
Yeah.
Well, I will be playing a new character, new to you. Is a character that I have written about a lot in my own short fiction that might go somewhere some point. Beck Halberry. The last time I played this, I was the fighter with Jericho. This time I am Beck, the swashbuckler. He is sturdily built with close-cut hair and a well-trimmed goatee. Very simple and straightforward, both in look and manner. His weapon is a simple saber. His armor is well-worn boots, immaculately maintained, and his quirk is that his eyes are always watching. He is very straightforward, but he is not oblivious. His adventure job was the swashbuckler, which left him with the skills duelist, master of the blade, in the rigging, climbing and acrobatic feats, and bravado, never falter. And in town, his job will be a cook.
Well, it's good to have at least someone.
It says chef in the book, but he's a cook. He's like, I'm not a chef. I'm a cook.
Mm-hmm.
It's good that we have at least one person who's dealing with food.
Yep. All right, so our first employee.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of a snazzy name, but
Do you have an idea for who or what they are?
I think it makes sense for maybe a grizzled retired sailor.
Yeah.
Because we need somebody to be able to help us captain this boat. So this is, maybe a sailor who may be disabled a little bit, but is still willing to help us with this party boat because, it's a relaxing change of pace from the life that they had before.
I once was a sailor. Now I run a party boat.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I had been imagining like a fishman.
Ooh.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's just a big fish head and like a kind of scaly, just big body. But wearing normal, like, sailing clothes.
Is there a name for that kind of?
I mean, there's lots. In Pathfinder's actually making a new one in an upcoming book. I forget what they're called. Of like just fish guy, kind of like a Lovecraftian deep one a little bit, but probably not as like spooky.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a fish man.
Sounds good.
An ichthyon.
Very nice.
Right? Ichthyon is
That sounds right.
yeah, I mean, an ichthyosaur is an old water dinosaur. Yeah, ichthys is the Greek for fish.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, what gender do we feel like our grizzled sailor is?
Well, it's been boy squad so far.
Do we want to keep the ball rolling, or do we want to have a grizzled fish lady?
What a combination of words.
You could have a grizzled fish non-binary,
Yeah.
Don't put that shit on me. That's land shit.
Yeah, fair.
He? Never heard of it.
Jesus.
Sounds good. And I think that their name is not pronounceable by human mouths, but they go by something else.
What should they go by?
Is it something cool or just something like stupid, plain, and simple?
Scooter.
I love Scooter.
Scooter or schooner?
Schooner could be good.
Ooh, yeah,
That's
schooner.
That's a kind of boat.
Yeah.
I know a boat thing.
Boats.
All right. Sounds good. Let's see. So, the next thing that we do is we play the game The First Step, and then we'll take turns choosing mini games to play. After minigame ends, we write down any memories we've gained and check to see if anyone wants to take a break, and if not, the next player chooses a game. Every 3 games, we'll take a break and then play Wear and Tear to upgrade the tavern. We'll get to ending the game when we end the game.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So the first step, Before you decided to put down roots here, before you found this group of friends, what were you doing? What was the first thing you learned about how to live in town? How long were we adventuring together? Like, how old are we at this point? Are we a relatively seasoned party, or are we a party that, got a few years in and, had a good break, so it's like, I'm out.
I would think Beck is pretty seasoned, personally.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of what I was thinking with my, quirk that I went with.
Okay. Cool. So let's say we've been doing this 10, 15 years, 20 years.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm gonna note down.
Yeah, I think like 10 or 15. If we started young in our late teens, that makes us in our mid 30s.
Sounds good. I like that idea a lot. A mid-30s Precious is probably insufferable. All right, so the setup for the game is everyone plays. Every character gains a town experience. We take turns describing a short scene that led to the experience, and another player or players might come with you, although they do not gain the same experience. And we've got a couple of options of things to have done. So Anya, how about you go first?
Were we a seafaring adventuring team, or is being on boats new to us?
I ended up with I picked the in the rigging thing, so I think I at least am familiar with the sea.
Okay.
And with boats. Swashbuckler is a pretty piratical, corsairy occupation.
Yeah, I think in that case, I don't think Precious is a sailor per se, but, has sea legs, good at locating buried treasure, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I imagine Atlas was an absolute nightmare to deal with on a ship. Just it's so hot and everything's wet.
And so we settled down in Fantasy Miami.
Perfect for a delicate pretty boy.
Yep.
So yeah, that kind of answers what we were doing before we put down roots here. I think Atlas spent his time in the party, and I don't know that he had much of a life outside that. That was kind of his identity. And the first thing he learned about how to live in town is, I think, probably just interacting with so many people daily. Because, if we were out at sea adventuring, we probably weren't experiencing the same volume as a city. So I think that was probably pretty overwhelming for him at first. And yeah, that's kind of what I have.
Did you pick a town experience?
I just pick one from my scholar? Is that what I do? Oh.
Yeah, the idea is that your experience in town, the first step is how you got it.
I think I would like to choose keen observation, something only you could see. And he got that from his initial desire to stay more away and isolated. And so he'd spend a lot of time just observing, I think.
Sounds good. So I think the town experience that I want to take is actually very similar in some ways to keen observation. From the poet, I'm taking a friend in need, and that is know who to call for a favor. And I think the way that he came about that is he started sort of observing people in town at first, And then just like because he was in the same spot every day, people became familiar with him and like started talking to him because he looks like a friendly guy. And so he started learning who some of the locals were, what they did, and, not necessarily able to call them in for a favor, but knows who to go to if we need spare parts for the kitchen, that kind of thing.
Nice.
Hell yeah. I think Beck, when we got in, and we were talking about starting a boat bar together, Beck was like, well, shit. I don't know how to cook. Well, I know how to make trail rations, but I don't know how to I got to do some research. And so he goes and walks his way down the marina and like buys like a bunch of just little morsels from every vendor he can find, and takes it all back to wherever we were staying and just sits there and stares at it, each piece at a time, and then like takes one little bite and like thinks really hard about it, and then writes something down, and then just does that with every single thing until he can understand why food tastes good.
Bless.
Yeah, so he's like, this is sour, but I like it. Why? Munch, munch, munch. Munch, munch, munch. And that is how I gained a refined palate. Sense of taste second to none.
Nice.
Bless.
Awesome. All right, with that, we move on to regular play. So, Anya, you get to pick our next game, the only game that's kind of off limits. The first step and In the Rhythm of Things are off limits. In the Rhythm of Things is how we'll end the game. So choose a game and we will do the thing.
Yeah. How about Market Day? You never would have guessed how many things you need just to keep a tavern running.
Sounds good.
How much of this should I read, or do we just read the setup?
Hang on, I'm trying to find Market Day.
I think reading the first page is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, while August is looking, I can go ahead and do that. You never would have guessed how many things a tavern needs to operate on a day-to-day basis. It feels like you're always at the market. In your previous life, you would have just thrown your coin at the nearest merchant to get what you need. But now that you're tied down to one place, it's not as easy to get everything. Buying something isn't as straightforward as a simple transaction. Still, calling this place home has its advantages. A trader saves something special for you, or throws in a little something extra as thanks for your patronage, or for that favor you did them last time. It's nice. Anyone can play. Players choose between being a shopper or a merchant. Merchants can be player characters or NPCs. There must be at least one of each.
Okay, so I'm assuming Atlas is the shopper?
Yeah, Atlas is shopping. Do y'all want to shop or merchant or anything?
I can be a merchant. So, since you're the shopper, answer the questions there.
What do you need either for the tavern or for yourself? Is it difficult to find here, and if so, why? I think I want Zach's input on this, because I think Beck asked Atlas to go get this thing from the market for a dish like you're experimenting with.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have an idea of what kind of thing that Atlas can try and procure.
It's called jalapeno.
Sounds exotic.
It's from, well, it's from across the sea, but there's a lot of seas.
This is true. Okay.
But it's good. You cut them up and they add zing to the dish.
Atlas just scrawls on a notepad like jalapenos spelled very wrong and zing with a bunch of like marks around it to make it look like it's like an onomatopoeia kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
God bless.
So yeah, Atlas is looking for a jalapeno, which he's probably not sure what that is.
All right. And as a merchant, I answer the question, what sign, item of clothing, or other visual cue do you use to attract buyers? And I think it makes sense to me that I'm some sort of spice merchant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've got a stall, and that stall is just festooned with, like, dried spices, herbs. I'm imagining I have a thing that's hanging up that has all manners of dried peppers attached to it. Not that Atlas necessarily knows that a jalapeno would be among the dried peppers, but
You shouldn't eat. I guess you could eat dried jalapeno, but you want that shit fresh.
that's true. That's true. So scratch all of that. Fresh vegetable merchant. And there's a sign that's like a stylized person, a stylized face, like munching on a carrot. And this stall is super colorful. You've got carrots and, heirloom carrots, because orange carrots are gross, but the heirloom multicolored carrots are really great. You've got different sorts of peppers, in various colors. You've got root vegetables, you've got your greens. And I think that since we've got magic here and this is a fantasy universe, we've got little magical things strung up above the vegetables that occasionally mist them. Like how they do in the grocery stores, and the mist turns on as soon as you're trying to select something, so you
little
always
crystals.
Pardon?
Little like little mystic crystals.
Mm-hmm. And you always get moistened when you're trying to select the veggie.
Mm-hmm.
This deeply upsets Atlas. As he reaches for one, it's like, oh, this is fine silk.
All right, so we've answered our questions, and so we go on to the exchange. For each item a shopper needs, merchants will ask at least one of the following. They may ask as many as they want until they are satisfied. Let's see. Let's say I've been having trouble tracking something down, and I think that something is some sort of mystically infused turnip. Just because I think that's very silly. And this merchant is a silly person in my mind. So I've been having trouble tracking down a mystically infused turnip that I've heard grows over one of the many seas. Where have you encountered this item before, and what advice do you think I need if I'm trying to obtain it?
Okay, so I just Googled what kind of conditions turnips need to grow.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like full sunlight is necessary, but temperatures not too warm, from 40 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
So now I have that information. You're welcome if you've been wondering about growing turnips. So with that information in mind, where have I encountered this item before? So I think we encountered this item at one point perhaps we had gotten shipwrecked on an island. And while we were waiting to fix up our boat and exploring, this was one of the items on the island.
Mm-hmm. Is it like something that we discovered and we started eating while we were rationing our food?
What kind of magic are you thinking this does?
Maybe it has like healing properties.
Okay. Yeah, then maybe we ate it and realized that and then turned it into some sort of paste or something to help fix our boat.
Yeah, boats are made of wood. You can heal, make the wood heal itself. That's fun. I like that.
That's fine. So that's where I think we've encountered it before.
What advice do you think I need if I'm trying to obtain it?
On your way to this island, the reason we got shipwrecked is it weather related or is it a giant sea creature?
Do what's in your heart.
Yeah, there's a big ol' octopus. Who doesn't love a good kraken? And so as you're traveling through, you need to be aware of that, because it will in fact wreck your boat. Does that work?
Yeah. I'm looking at these. I want to ask one more.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think this is fun. I think that you know what foods I like and how to prepare them. Although you may not necessarily be the one preparing, you may have badgered Beck into doing it.
Oh yeah.
I always give you a discount when you bring me something you've cooked. What have you brought today?
So I think out of a warming bag that he's been carrying, like a cloth bag that has like extra padding to keep things warm, Atlas will pull out some sort of pie. It's one of the new ones that Beck has been experimenting with, and he'll give a flashy, like, bright white smile, and there's a sticky note on the top that's like, This was made by Beck, not Atlas. And Atlas gracefully hands it over and says, Beck sends his regards. And yeah, I don't know if you have any ideas for what kind of pie you would be experimenting with, but...
Well, there's a lot of pies. There's your fruit pies. Apple. Banana. Boysenberry. There's also savory pies. Chicken pot. Beef pot. Fish pot. And then you can kind of just go crazy from there. Beck is saying this as he's standing surrounded by by pie tins.
I also imagine that, like, Atlas is writing this down and is saying this to the merchant as he's, like, producing the pie. Like, this ramble about food.
I caramelized some onions and I basted these fish in honey as a marinade. And then I put them in a pie. It's good.
Sounds pretty legit, honestly.
Yeah. All right. I think the merchant is satisfied, and gives you a discount on the jalapenos. And I think that the merchant does point out other peppers that they have just in case. And they give you a discount.
Sweet. Yeah, and I think Atlas will buy a couple extra peppers just, like, to get into Beck's good graces. Like, oh, look at also all of these.
Cool.
I imagine that's all you say to him, too.
Mm-hmm.
Just, cool. Bye.
I take it and I start using it. And every variety of pepper that we have, I have to eat one whole.
Oh God!
Chew it, and that tells me what it's supposed to taste like.
You're like a fucking Skyrim character. You just eat things to find out what they do.
What other way is there?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Precious game time.
Let's see. I kind of want to do sliced, but I'm not necessarily a cook. But it could be one of those things where I am forced to cook because Beck is away.
I was going to say that sliced was one I was eyeing.
Okay, I will not do sliced then. How about off the clock? It's been a while since you've all had a proper day off. Things are slower right now, and you can get away with closing up for a day. Where do you go after the tables are wiped down? Who's heard every story you have about the worst people who have walked in? And the setup is anyone can play. Each player describes the first thing their character is doing to wind down, let loose, or otherwise forget about work for a while. Do we all want to play, or is it just Precious?
I mean, if it's slow, it's probably slow for everyone, right?
Yeah.
I'm fine playing.
All right, so I will start. The first thing, my knee-jerk, my first inclination was to have Precious go for a swim, but Precious is a cat boy. Precious doesn't go for a swim. He doesn't, he barely tolerated being on a boat, in his youth, I think he used to hit up taverns, but now that he owns a tavern, it's just like, I think I'm good. So I think he goes for a walk in a park. I'm trying to decide what kind of park a beachside town would have.
Maybe probably like a boardwalk.
Yeah. And I think, because there was the question in the game description, who's heard every story you have about the worst people who've walked in, I think maybe there's a shopkeep who sells like souvenirs and tchotchkes. Because you say boardwalk, I immediately think of, one of those souvenir shops that has airbrush t-shirts and stuff like that. So I think that person, whose name is Fellowship Brown, I think Fellowship and Precious have bonded over bad customers. And on our turn, you can do a scene alone or ask one or more players to join. Start by choosing a prompt from the list below or coming up with your own. Actually, each player describes the first thing their character does winding down. So I guess Zachary and then Annya.
Yeah, if it's chill, then Beck is going to take all of his knives and put them in a little he's got this rolled up, it's like a pelt that's been like stripped, like a leather carrying case that you can sheath all the knives into and then roll them up into a little bundle, and then he goes and usually he sharpens them before a shift in the kitchen. But he goes and he sharpens them up for the next day in the crow's nest of the ship, just looking out over the water and drawing them across a whetstone one at a time until all of their edges are perfectly honed. Just chilling.
What about Atlas?
Atlas. I'm looking at there's a trip you've been wanting to make prompt. And so I think Atlas is preparing for that trip, going through the process of renting whatever kind of car this city uses and packing.
Okay. Cool. So that's what we do immediately after we get off work. So the next thing we do is choose a prompt from the list below, and on our turn we may do a scene alone, or we might jump back in with the group. If nothing comes to mind, you can pass or look at the time and realize you have to get back to work. When everyone has passed in a row or gone back to work, the game is over. So I think that Precious wants to grab some food around the corner, and the question there is what is familiar about it. And I think there's like a street food vendor that maybe sells like takoyaki or something like that. And Precious will never admit it, but I think at the very least Beck understands that it reminds him of a time where they were eating a lot of squid, and he deeply enjoyed the taste of squid. So having a source of tasty squid delicacy, well, not delicacy, but some sort of tasty squid snack is familiar to Precious. I don't know if Atlas would pick up on that. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, Anya.
No, you're good.
I think Precious always invites Beck and Atlas to get takoyaki with him, but whether or not y'all care for takoyaki is entirely up to you.
Beck will eat anything. The first time you had it, he bit it in half and then just stared inside the takoyaki ball for like 5 straight minutes.
Oh my god.
How did they do that? And then he found out it's like fried or grilled in a pan. And it's like incredible.
I think Atlas loves to watch Beck's exploring new food, and so definitely would come along. And I think he probably doesn't like them very much. And like takes his time slipping them onto your plates when you're not looking, like just adds them to your plates.
Nice.
I think Beck is very intrigued and is trying to like figure out how to do sausage takoyaki.
So like squid sausage?
No, just normal, like Italian sausage or German sausage.
Okay.
Just diced in the little batter bowls.
Okay. I was imagining squid sausage for a second there, and my brain was like recoiling in horror. So,
what if I put mozzarella in there?
I think nothing can be ruined by cheese.
Yeah. That is one problem here. It's hard to get milk because there's not a lot of cows in the sea.
That's very true.
And you can't milk manatees.
An astute observation.
You can, but they don't like it.
Bless.
I don't want to know how you know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good place to end off with my little scene. So, whoever wants to go next.
Do you have anything? Because I think Beck is just happy to just eat food and hang out. She's like so not like, oh, I have to go. I guess if the kids are playing baseball, he'd be like, yeah, I'll play some baseball.
Well, I think Atlas there's a trip that he's been wanting to make, and it's a little ways from town, and it's like a smaller town. So I think he would invite y'all with him if you wanted to go. I'm sure there's some local restaurants, which might be some hole-in-the-wall good finds.
Hell yeah.
So I think Atlas would show up with a little ascot tied around his neck, looking very preppy boy about to take a trip. His polo, his khakis, and pulls up with whatever kind of car he could rent, whatever vehicle he could rent, and asks if y'all would like to join him.
Can you drive?
Probably.
That's not yes.
I mean, I would love a chauffeur.
All right.
Precious, are you coming?
See, there's a part of me that wants to go, but there's another part of me that doesn't want to see you driving.
I'm not driving anymore. I have a chauffeur now.
Means I get to control the tunes.
That's supposed to be the passenger's job.
That's what you get. Yeah, I'm in. And Precious, like, hops up. I think that he's wearing, like, just plain breeches and a plain, like, linen shirt with the sleeves rolled up, and I'm imagining there's, like, lacing at the collar that he has left artfully unlaced because of who he is as a person. So, this vehicle, are we going inland, or are we going further along the coast to this tiny place?
I would be fine with either option if you have a preference for where this small town is.
I was thinking if it's further along the coast, we'd have like a sand skiff that you rented, like a sleigh meant to go over sand as opposed to snow.
Oh, cute.
As opposed to like a carriage or something. So,
Could be cool.
I guess the big question for me is, do we make it to this town without any mishaps?
What kind of mishaps would we get into?
Well, is Beck good at driving the sand skiff, or do we hire somebody, some outside individual as a chauffeur?
I think Beck probably considers himself a good driver. But what he really is a fast and accurate driver.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be comfortable, but he doesn't crash.
Mm-hmm.
But he is like, that's because he's like, always readjusting, and so you're never like in a really. It's not a smooth ride. It's very fast and safe.
Mm-hmm.
And he does blast bluegrass.
Oh my god.
Incredible. Love it.
Atlas keeps trying to change it, and I imagine Beck just changes it back.
Beck doesn't look and touch it and grabs your wrist.
Perfect. So we get there, and I know Atlas tempted Beck with exploring new cuisine, but what was Atlas wanting to do here?
Atlas wanted to shop. He heard that there were some very fine artisans here who made the nicest robes and cloaks.
Of course.
So I think he would maybe we get a lunch and go shop and then get more food or something. Like, might as well spend the day here. And so, yeah. Sorry.
Precious spends a lot of time with his hands behind his back, definitely trying not to get a 5-finger discount.
Oh my god. Can't take you anywhere nice.
You can. I clean up nice. I play nice. You've got nothing to worry about from me.
I've seen your room. You don't clean up nice.
Hush you.
Mm.
Cool.
So yeah.
So that means it's back around to me. This looks fun. there's a traveling troupe of performers here for a few days. Have you met any of them before? And I think it's fun if one of the performers is a former member of our crew. So, like, I don't know who they are or what they did, but, you know, a former member of the crew, we catch up with drinks, maybe invite them in to show off the party boat as it stands now. They gently rib us about the state of the boat, and Precious is just like, we're working on it. But I think that occupies a little bit of Precious's time off.
Mm-hmm. Beck just says, "Hey."
He's a man of few words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Do we know why this person left?
I think it might be we were in town at some point in some port, and the traveling troupe was there, and they fell in love with one of the actors and ran away to join the performers.
Aww, cute.
So that's my action. If y'all have any actions you want to take, by all means. If you would rather pass or look at the time.
Yeah, I think it's Beck will be like, well, this was nice, but bye.
Okay.
And he like means that this was nice, but bye.
Yeah.
Like truly.
Yeah. He means what he says.
I mean, this person has worked with Beck before. I'm sure that they understand.
Mm-hmm. It's really funny that Beck is a swashbuckler. It is so laconic.
It's fun is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that was off the clock. Zachary, it's your turn.
All right. Time to slice. You can handle typical tavern food fine. You got a very nice stew, great bread from a baker down the street, and plenty of ale. Sometimes supply routes get disrupted, or maybe you just want to stand out from the rest of the taverns. Whatever the reason, you're playing this game because you want or need to do one thing: cook with monster parts. So I'm going to be the cook. I need to draw 3 cards from the deck. For each card drawn, I will roll 2 6-sided dice to determine how large the ingredient source is and where it's from, and then interpret it based on suit and rank. You guys will then describe the ingredient in more detail and tell me a highlight of this ingredient or a difficulty I may have while cooking it. I'm a competent cook. Just remember to mention how we get around okay. All right. So that's a 7 of spades, a 7 of clubs, and a 10 of clubs. So that comes to 7 of spades. 7 has a feature of natural camouflage and is a plant or plant-based product. Interesting. And I'll roll 2d6, getting tiny and underground.
Ooh.
And then the second 7 is also natural camouflage, but a club, which means it's fungi, lichen, and mold. Fragrant mushrooms, yeasts, bright green, and orange slimes. Pretty cool. And that one is mountain-sized in the forest.
Wow.
Okay. And the 10 is some sort of shiny fungi, lichen, or mold. And that is house-sized and also underground.
Jesus.
2 underground ingredients, and one that's in the forest that is the size of a mountain. I don't need the whole mountain. It's just the source is mountain-sized. I guess you guys got to come up with what the heck these are.
I have an idea for the first one. Nymph roots. So you have to find a tree that has a dryad associated with it and get some of the roots of that tree.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So what are the highlight and of the ingredient and the difficulty I may have while cooking it?
I think that the highlight is it's umami plus. Like, because it's associated with a dryad, it's got a magical flair to the flavor, and
Sure.
it's difficult to describe the exact flavor that it brings, but it's flavor plus. It's the ultimate flavor enhancer.
Hell yeah. Okay. And which one is this? Is this the forest one?
The first one you said?
Yeah,
I said forest one.
I was thinking the first one because it's specifically plant derived, and it's not something you can get in large quantities because a dryad will be very upset.
That's very true. And though it is underground, so I have to find an underground dryad grove.
And you said the other one's a fungus?
Both of the other ones are fungi or lichen or slimes.
Okay, so I think I knew
mushrooms, yeasts, bright green and orange slimes.
I'll do one of the mushrooms.
Okay.
I think it's a giant field mushroom that grows underground, so I guess a giant cave mushroom.
Well, no, that one's in the forest.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So one is mountain sized and in the forest, and one is house sized and in the
mountain
in the underground.
I think it's a giant field mushroom the size of a mountain in the forest. Lord. What is this, fucking Minecraft?
And it somehow has natural camouflage. Maybe it looks like a tree. It's like so tree-like that you don't know it's a mushroom until you like figure out that the leaves are actually mycelia.
Jesus. And babe, could you remind me of which highlight and difficulty you picked? Sorry, I was Googling mushrooms.
My highlight was that it's like the ultimate flavor enhancer.
Okay.
I forgot what my difficulty was. Did I give it a difficulty?
You had not yet given it a difficulty.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I just plain forgot. I think the difficulty is if you don't prepare it right, it can induce dryad's wart, which is a magical sickness that gives you like bark-like growths on your skin.
Oh boy.
It's not like deadly or anything. You're not going to kill any of our patrons, but it does require like careful preparation.
Hell yeah.
I think sorry.
So like you just got to be very careful about it.
Yeah.
Nice. And yes, sorry, Anya.
So I think the mountain-sized mushroom, for its highlight, I think it has an interesting texture and provides variety to the dish. But I do think it dries out if it's overcooked.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Needs a steady hand on that one.
Yes, you gotta be careful.
Mm-hmm. I think you could probably make like patties with it if it's then just do a quick sear, almost like a mushroom burger with some nymph fruit.
Really good. You're making me hungry.
And then the last one was house sized, found underground, and is shiny. Do you think this is like a full on slime, like a Dragon Quest slime?
Yeah, I was about to suggest that, like a silvery slime mold.
Like kind of like maybe like acidic or tangy.
Ooh. Yeah.
You can use it to like make an aioli.
Yeah. But the difficulty is it's because it's like a Dragon Quest or other kind of slime, it has a tendency to eat other things. So you've got to be careful what it's eaten prior.
Sure.
You've got to filter that out somehow.
You gotta, and you could even maybe like feed it stuff like mustard seeds and stuff to like influence the flavor. But if you're not careful, it'll get funky.
Yes.
All right. Well, you guys are the tasters of for this new dish. Each of you has something that you want from this dish. Come up with something on your own, or use the examples below. Stuff like something that reminds you of home, a unique combination of flavors, so on and so forth. And then I will have to come up with a dish based on that.
I think I automatically know which one Atlas's is.
Yeah.
A dish that is rich and satisfying, but doesn't leave you feeling bloated afterwards.
Sure.
And I want a new twist on a classic dish. And I think the classic dish is, shoot, I had it in my mind, and then, of course, as soon as I went to go say it, it left me. I think, it's a dish that requires a slab of protein. Like I'm thinking, you've got the mushroom that, you can sear like a steak, so that's probably going to be the centerpiece of the dish. But with like steak and mashed potatoes, very classic, very, very staple. But I want it with a twist.
Well, boy, do we have some slime for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. Beck is... So like we see Beck going and like beseeching an underground dryad for some of the nymph root. And carefully taking his old saber, his simple saber, and like... chopping off like a section of branch from this mushroom, this house mushroom, and going into an underground slime cavern, and like he's like very carefully like holding on to like a rope that he's like tied across the ceiling, and like scooping it up with a silver stein. He puts it all together. He sears the thing. He puts the nymph fruit into the silver slime, along with some like, herbs and spices and mushrooms. It makes like a kind of like a tangy aioli sauce, which he spreads liberally on top of a seared mushroom patty, and he is going to put it on a bun, and it's going to be a steak burger. Mushroom steak burger.
Nice.
But it's gonna be like kind of a lighter, like an area, like a biscuit bun, or not like a biscuit, but like a croissant bun, more than it is like a thick, heavy, weedy bun that doesn't make you feel bloated.
Very nice.
And now I get to roll 5 dice equal to 4. 5 dice, 4 plus your cuisine rating. And then I place them in the following squares. Basically, I get to arrange the rolls that I make to determine what levels of success I get. And there's 4 like levels dice I have to assign, so I don't have a lot of wiggle room if I roll any like bad dice. Okay. So I've rolled a 4, a 3, a 2, a 6, and a 1. The 1 I can set aside, thankfully. So I'm going to assign the 6, the goal. I succeed. Taster gives me a compliment. You can tell me what I succeed on and what compliment I get.
I think Atlas, his compliment is that it was not too greasy like many other burgers he has had, and it filled him up just the right amount. It was perfect.
Cool. I think I'm going to put the 2 under presentation, because I'm not great at that. It might taste great, but it looks pretty unappetizing. One taster describes what part of the dish grosses them out the most.
I think that the thing that grosses Precious out the most is actually the aioli, because it looks too similar to the source slime. So, you've got slime mold slathered.
It is silver. Like a silver, shiny silver sauce. That is true. That is a little strange.
Yeah.
Cool. And then the last two, I'm going to put a 3 under seasoning. Seems almost right, but it's missing a little something. What flavor do you want more of, or what spice do you add as you're eating? One taster can answer. And we can also have like NPCs here as well.
I think Schooner is just like, needs more kelp.
Jesus.
Puts furikake on the burger.
Okay, interesting. And then the last one would be texture. 3 to 4 cook. Describe how one part of the dish was overcooked or overdone just a bit, but you caught it before the dish was ruined. I think I got the sear. It was just a tiny bit too long, but I managed to get it before it lost its like juiciness. It just wasn't as perfectly juicy as it could be.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
All right.
Yeah, and then resolve the process. If any characters love the dish, you may make one of them a permanent named NPC, or write down a new and named NPC who has this as their favorite dish.
I like the idea of writing down a new named NPC.
A burger lover?
Yeah. Comes in every Friday.
Oh, hell yeah.
How about Reginald Blackwood?
Oh, Blackwood. Love some burgers.
Yep.
Hell yeah. What's Reginald Blackwood like? He sounds kind of fancy.
He does. Maybe a local merchant?
Good.
Alrighty. So we've done 3 games, so now it's time to take a break. Hi, it's August, and I just wanted to thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed us, please consider leaving a rating on your podcast platform of choice, telling your friends about us, or tweeting about us using the FTLcast hashtag. We are also part of a nonprofit podcasting guild called Standing Stones Productions. We do a variety of shows, including The Room Where It Happened and Dumb Kids Playing Hero, 2 actual play shows, and a Steven Universe discussion podcast called Gay Space Rocks. We also do live streams at twitch.tv/StandingStonesProd. You can keep up with everything that we do on Twitter at Stones_standing. Unfortunately, Standing Stones was already taken. Your support means a lot. Thanks again!